Hey, so today I'm going to be going over something slightly more simple than going over collisions. Today it's just going to be a brief overview of our animation rigs, because at the minute the only person really animating with any of this stuff is myself. Um, I've really just made the rigs to be as simple to me as possible. So while I don't expect like a full-time professional animator to look at my rigs and go, "Oh yeah, totally, I'd animate with that." It's more of a keep it simple. We don't have any crazy facial expressions going on or anything like that. So it's much easier to just have the body rig itself and then a very simple face rig. We have something slightly more complex set up for the Vandermark characters, and I'll quickly show you those guys as well. But besides that, this is just a quick first look. I'm not going to be teaching you how to animate or anything, but this is just how I've done it. So let's get into it. So this is our skeletal mesh in-game, and as you can see a whole bunch of the bones inside the character, a little root at the bottom. But I'm not going to really be showing you much about the skeletal mesh in-game today. This is more about our character rigs inside, say, 3ds Max. And here's a few of our other animations. It's mainly just running, going in different directions, running with a sword and shield, running to the side, kind of stuff that you'd use while you're locked on. But instead, if we go over to Max, then you can see here our rig more clearly. This animation is one that you'll be seeing in the new update, as we've now finally added some potions for the character to drink. And there's nothing super crazy about all this, it's literally just keyframes and using controllers to control the bones inside the character. So normally where you'd have to control each bone individually and rotate each bone individually, we use an IK solver, which is an inverse kinematic, this little thing here, to control the different bones inside with different controllers for different bones. So this hand bone here is obviously attached to the IK for movement, but then for rotation it's also connected to the controller. But since we're not animating at the minute, we've just changed its position in world space. So as before, if we hit this play button, it'll now have a kind of screwed up animation slits. There we go. So if we wanted to change how it would work, so now like that. Whoop. And since the character is pretty cartoony with not much detail, we don't have incredibly accurate face rigs like you'll find in a lot of other games. So, whoop. There we go. So you can make him look bored and disinterested. And a few other facial expressions. But it is mainly just a very, very, very simple facial rig. With a few simple controllers for motion. Because if we didn't have those, if we wanted to do it like in ye old days, back in the 90s, if we want to move that bone at the top, well, that's as much as we can do with it. There's no easy way to get it walking, there's no easy way to get it flowing around. You kind of have to start to manually do it bit by bit. And I know I said this wouldn't be an animation tutorial, but you know, it's whatever. So if we go in here instead, now you get that range of motion. And say you want a swivel target. And that's our elbow controller, so you can see it taking control over there. And you can have it pointing whatever way you want. Much easier than doing it bit by bit. Because in the past, in say like Toy Story, you'd have to do each bone manually. So trying to create a run cycle by moving each bone individually was painful. So here we've got our main rig with a few props for easy positioning with, and that's the reason why I've chosen the girl's main hair for this, is you get to see the hair rig on top of that as well. This is mostly all done by physics in the engine, so we don't really do any of the animating of the hair. So in engine, when the character's running around, we use physics on the bones to kind of have the hair come flying out whenever you're doing stuff like running around, rolling in the middle of combat. And we've got different tufts of hair for different hairstyles. So say this main hairstyle will use these strands going down the sides here. But say the ponytail will use these bones at the back for different ponytails. Just an easy head controller, feet controller, and knee controllers. All the animation is done using these controllers. So if we wanted to look at a slightly more complex facial rig, we'd go over to the Vandermark character. So with this guy, he actually has a moving, walking, talking mouth. So but more than that is the more complex eye rig. So is actually able to look around. And besides that, we're also able to add focus onto things, so you can go cross-eyed if you wanted to. And that's how we get them to look at players and other points of interest moving around in the scene. So same as before, but with a simple walking animation. So you gotta think about these creatures differently from how humans walk, because of the way that our legs are set up differently from theirs. So nothing too crazy in these rigs. I was just thinking it would be interesting to show some of you exactly how we do animation rigs for our characters for Unreal Engine 4, and it's the same with a lot of other characters as well. So if I open up the Goblin, we also have the same kind of thing. So this is, like all the things, how it gets modelled at the start. This is its T-pose. And then, when it actually comes time to it, we then start posing. And that's how we get posing with IK rigs and all other sorts of tools in 3ds Max for animation. And it's pretty much how we do it for almost everything else, like the undead. So we've got our really spooky guys. These are in the Crypt dungeon, but you'll see them appearing more in other places around Aellion. You also get a good idea of the poly count in Unreal as well by seeing the triangle count over here. So ignore the poly count. It's the 15,960 you should be interested in. and the denizen. You can see basic shape of the rig there. Oh, spine controller's a bit in his back there. But when you see how it moves, I mean, yeah, he's got some moves, but the cloak we do with a cloth simulation, we use the physics for these like we do for the hair on the characters, except the characters is done with bones. But in Unreal, the cloak from about down here will be done with pure cloth physics in the engine itself. So we only just do a very, very rough rigging, so this part of the cloth will be skinned to the upper backbone here, and this part down here will be, I think, skinned to the pelvis or the root, I'm not quite sure. I mean, well, I should know, I do all the animating, but yeah, so you can see how we do a whole bunch of the different animations now using the IK rigs. So I hope you found that interesting, and I'll provide some more insight into how we do other parts of our game development here in some more development updates in the future. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll probably upload another video soonish. I'm not sure if it'll be a devlog, but it'll be something. Right, see it.